What's up, peeps? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan, and today we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of travel nursing. This is pretty big, I think, just when you want to step into this lifestyle, just because it is totally a lifestyle change, you guys. I'm really serious when I say that. It's a huge lifestyle change. It's really nothing compared to permanent staff like nursing at all in terms of just the lifestyle itself. So I thought I'd make this video for you guys to just kind of show, is it worth it for you? Do the pros outweigh the cons, or do the cons outweigh the pros? So I hope you guys enjoy and stay tuned. While there are quite a few cons to travel nursing, me personally, I believe that the pros far outweigh the cons. I think it just depends on what kind of life you want to live, where you are in your career, really where you are in your life, what your priorities are. So travel nursing is honestly very specific to each person, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If travel nursing is not for you, don't feel bad. If you want to stay in your permanent hospital, that's totally fine. There's definitely benefits to permanent staff and to travel nursing. All right, so let's start with the pros first. I don't want to be negative Nancy and start with the cons first. So obviously the biggest one is travel. I mean, you get to go to pretty much whatever state you want to, just depending on your contract and the timing, obviously. And you get to discover such amazing places. And not only do you get to explore the city, the town, the state, wherever it is you are, you can also take off time to be able to travel internationally or to just a nearby state. So if you love travel, obviously this is in the name, travel nursing, you may actually really love it. It gives you a lot of opportunity to explore. This is another huge pro, and it is that tax-free money. No, seriously, that tax-free money is very important, especially because that's how travel nurses really make that bank. And as you become a travel nurse, or when you start looking into it, you can see how you're getting paid differently, and how most of the time I would say you do get paid more than staff nurses. Not always. So it just kind of depends on the pay package you create with your recruiter and your agency. So there's a lot of things that go into it, but that's definitely how nurses or travel nurses make the most of their money during their time traveling. I don't know about you guys, but I hate hospital politics. You do not have to deal with all of the crap that comes with hospital politics. So that's like another huge pro, you guys, I'm telling you. So this is one that maybe you can start to develop over time, especially depending on the hospitals that you go to, but it's to build your resume. Resume booster, you can literally go to whatever hospital you want to in the US, again, depending on the contract, depending on if the hospital even has a need, but I've known people to really boost up their resume as a travel nurse before they start to do like charge nurse position at maybe their home hospital, or any kind of like management position that they're like, hey, I've worked at UCSF, I've worked at Stanford, I've worked at, like, you know, these major hospitals. And you're like, I have experience at X, Y, and Z hospital, and it just really makes your resume look good. Not only that, but you can just do so much with, like, you can get your credentials paid for, you can get all these certifications while you're doing travel nursing, and it gets paid for. So there's a lot of like resume booster opportunities in there. This one kind of ties into the previous one, and it's getting more experience in your specialty. So you guys will notice, especially, I mean, if you are a travel nurse watching this, you already know, but once you go from hospital to hospital, every hospital is so different in what they do and their like policies and procedures and all these things. So you learn so many different ways to skin a cat, and I hate that saying so much because I literally like picture someone skinning a cat. I mean, I guess that's the point, but there's so many different ways to do things, and you learn like the old way, obviously, that like probably shouldn't be done anymore, and you also can learn a brand new way with like new technology and amazingness, and it just really makes you like a solid nurse. So I think that's like one of the definite pros of this. Finding your dream destination has to be one of the biggest pros, I think, especially for people who are like wanting to be settled somewhere. Like, again, you are done travel nursing, you kind of want to figure out where your next step is to settle, or if you're just looking for a hospital that's like amazing and you'll find that along the way some people end up signing on permanent because they just love that hospital so much, and that's definitely what travel nursing opens up for everyone. This is my favorite one. I know I said that about the first two, but this is probably like the whole point of travel nursing, honestly, and it's to become and create new experiences and new friends along the way. And let me tell you guys, sorry, I'm getting all excited, that you will meet so many amazing nurses along the way. You'll meet so many new people along the way. You will create these new experiences for yourself that are just, you know, so genuine and authentic to your journey that it really does change you. It really does change you, and I've felt it within myself, and I've definitely seen like my other friends that I've found and created memories with along the way. I've seen their journey change, and it's just kind of amazing. You find other like-minded individuals, so that's definitely one of my favorite aspects of travel nursing. All right, y'all. Time to be negative Nancy, and honestly the cons are pretty huge too. I'm not gonna lie. I don't care what any travel nurse tells you, and they probably won't lie to you, to be honest. I don't care how easy your experience has been as a travel nurse, or like just flowy or whatever you want to call it. Like, this lifestyle is hard if you're not used to constant change, and even if you do like change, like there's so many different aspects to it that make it difficult. And it really is, like, it's not everything on Instagram that you see, like these wonderful pictures of you traveling everywhere. Like, it is that, it definitely is, but that's not all it is. And I just want to make that so real for you guys, that this lifestyle is hard, okay? This lifestyle is hard, but it's so worth it. And especially, like, I just think that most nurses should just try it, even for a 13-week contract, and then go back home and do their thing. So let's get back to the video. So many people will tell you this is just like the constant change. If you love change, maybe this may not be a big con for you. Like I said, these cons may not mean a lot to some people, especially if they like these things. But I like change, but like the constant change that is with travel nursing, like a new hospital, new coworkers, new policies, procedures, new places that you have to park, like all these different things like that you have to figure out as a travel nurse. It's just constant change. But to be completely honest, it teaches you a lot about yourself. It teaches you how you crack under pressure, or how you thrive under pressure, and you become more resilient and more adaptable. And I think that's a huge lesson you learn from travel nursing, as well as how to become those things. This ties along with the constant change, and it's moving every 13 weeks. I'm one of those travel nurses that hasn't really moved all that much. I started off in the East Bay of the Bay Area, and now I'm in San Francisco, so I literally went from like one side of the bridge to the other. I've had other fellow travel nurses that have literally extended a whole year in each assignment that they've done. I've literally had one of my friends who move every 13 weeks, and I'm like, that just sounds so stressful. But again, you can just kind of make travel nursing how you want to make it. And if you want to move every 13 weeks because you're getting bored, that's honestly why a lot of people do this. So again, it could be a huge con for you. It could also be something you thrive in. Again, I'm filming this in the middle of a pandemic, so please disregard this if you're watching it during the pandemic. But I guess, you know what? No, I can even say that now, is that the job market is really competitive. And like, okay, here's an example. For instance, I'm an ER nurse. Let's say that there's 4 other ER nurses that are applying for this one job. I'm just gonna use this as an example, in Hawaii. If it's me and 4 other nurses, and someone has like a higher credential than I do, or just their resume looks better than mine, that person's gonna get it. And honestly, not only that, but it depends on when you submit your information over to the hospital. If your recruiter is quick to it, there's a good chance that you're gonna get it before me. Even if it was like an hour after I submitted mine after your contract, it just really depends. Like, there's so many factors, but like it could be based off of your interview, off of your resume, whatever, if they don't feel like you're a good fit for the team, if you are a good fit for the team. So there's a lot of things that go into it, but it is highly competitive. There's so many travel nurses competing for the same job. So just know that that's why a lot of initial travel or new travel nurses have a difficult time getting a job, because they're competing against other experienced travel nurses. You guys, this is the one that I really struggled with in the beginning of my travel nurse journey, and it's because I went through a breakup of 5 years. And I'm sorry, but that is like, it's so funny because that is like the beginning of all travel nurses like stories. It's like, I went through a really big breakup and then I started travel nursing. So we have a lot in common, me and all of the people who have just recently left their partner of like X amount of years to start travel nursing. Anyways, it can become extremely lonely. And when I'm talking about lonely, I'm not talking about like, you know, I like my alone time. I like spending time with myself. I'm very comfortable with it, but like you just feel so by yourself, and like it's a really uncomfortable feeling, and you just grow more and more into like loving to be with yourself and loving to enjoy that quality time with yourself. But it is important to like reach out and make friends. Like there's so many opportunities to do that, especially now with social media. But just understand, like, that is probably the one thing that I see the most on like travel nursing boards, and just like even on social media in general, just like how lonely it can get. So just know what you're walking into, you guys. Like it's a serious thing. Like you can get really lonely. I am super thankful that this hasn't happened to me, but you can have a bad assignment, and knock on wood, like I hope that doesn't happen to me. Like my experience thus far has been really good. I will prelude it with, I do think that sometimes the bad assignment based off of, number one, your perspective. If you like are coming from an amazing level 1 hospital and then you go to like a level 3 hospital and you're like, wow, what is this? Like, is it because you're being picky? Is it because you're just being judgmental? Like, there can be a lot of different reasons for a bad assignment. It can just honestly be horrible. Like, you can just, people could be mean to you, which thank God, like, has not happened to me, but it is very possible. Like, nurse bullying is still a thing, unfortunately. And I see on the other travel nursing boards, like I've seen that it's still happening. So it can be horrible for a lot of different reasons. Like it's not a safe assignment. They're giving you all the really sick patients. The staff doesn't really like you that much. Like, is it you? Is it them? Like, who freaking knows? Like, it can just be a bad assignment. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. So lots of paperwork is another con, and you are constantly submitting paperwork to new agencies or new recruiters that you want to sign on with. You also have to submit things to the hospital. You have to redo all that like onboarding stuff. So this is new for like every hospital that you go to every 13 weeks. So you just have to be prepared and organized. Like, I will say that you do have to have a level of organization to be able to go into this, or else you're just gonna feel really chaotic every single time you step into a new contract. So making sure you're organized, yeah, that's my biggest suggestion. This was a big one when I first started, and it's the unaccounted for expenses. Even like the deposit for your apartment or whatever it is you're renting, like that's extra money out of your pocket if you don't have it. So that's why, you know, I always suggest having at least 3 months worth of expenses saved up, just in case you do get into a situation where you don't have a contract or something bad happens. So I just think it's really important to understand that there's a lot of uncalculated expenses with travel nursing. Just honestly, I think through the whole thing, like each assignment you kind of figure out like, oh, maybe I need this, or actually like my life would be a little bit easier with this, or I don't have a car in this assignment. Like, you know, just trying to figure out those unaccounted for expenses. This one can tie into the being lonely, and it's being away from loved ones. I don't know about y'all, but I love my family. They're like my homies for life, like my OGs, my family, my friends. Like, it's a huge like step when you just like step away from your state or your home or whatever the situation may be. Like, a lot of people who I know who wanted to try travel nursing did like local contracts in their state before they stepped away and out of the state. But like me, like I literally just moved to California and I was so sad without my family. Like, I do travel a lot internationally to begin with, but it was like a new kind of missing them. It was like, okay, they're literally in the same country as me and I can't see them, but your parents can visit you, your friends and family can visit you wherever you are. All right, so since this is happening quite a bit right now with COVID, and this happened not as often, but it definitely can happen, and I want to stress this, is that you can get canceled from your contract. It's so important to read the cancellation policy in your contract with your recruiter and understanding exactly what it means when you are canceled. Sometimes you have to pay the hospital back X amount of money, or sometimes it's like you're good to go, or like sometimes you can even be blacklisted. So just understanding what the cancellation policy is, what that means for you, what that means for the hospital. Are you working for them again? So you can get canceled based off a plethora of reasons. Right now during the pandemic, it's because they overhired and now they don't need to be paying these nurses all this money, so they fired them technically, and it's very upsetting. Anyways, they can cancel you, and it's scary because you go to this new state, you sign a lease on a freaking apartment or wherever it is you're staying, and then all of a sudden they cancel you. And it's like, so that is one of the scarier parts of it. I've never been canceled, thank God, but it is definitely a possibility, and like, don't ever check that off, that like that will never happen to you, because it may. And last but not least, it is finding insurance. So some agencies actually have pretty ballin' insurance. Like, they cover you on a lot of different things. So just kind of figuring out what your insurance stuff is. Even like, so let's say I just finished a 13-week contract, I want to take 2 months off. That may mean I don't have any insurance. That's pretty scary for some people. That's really scary for some people who are like traveling with kids or traveling and they have prior existing medical problems. So insurance is expensive as it is, so just figuring that out for yourself, that's very, very dependent on the individual. So again, like for me, I'm otherwise young and healthy, but now that I'm about to take a break myself from nursing, I'm a little bit nervous about the insurance stuff. And honestly, I didn't think about it until just now that I was making this video. Before I sign off, I just wanted to say, obviously, that like I love travel nursing so much. I think it's such a unique lifestyle. I know I repetitively say that, but it really, really is. It's so unique and so different, and you meet a lot of the same type of people along the way. You just learn so much about yourself. If that's one thing I could like take away and like, or give to someone a piece of information, it's like, you learn, I think, more about yourself than like in your actual career, but like in a good way, right? Like you learn so much in your nursing career, but I feel like you just learn so much about yourself, and in that in itself, I think is amazing. But I just wanted to say, if you want to take the leap, take it. It's here for you to take, but just know that travel nursing is not for everyone, and that's all right. All right, you guys, thank you so much for continuing to come back to my channel. If you guys do like content like this or content that I've made prior, please like and subscribe, and please hit that notification button down below. I have a lot more time now that we're in quarantine, so I'm trying to refocus back on my YouTube channel and really putting just like more informational stuff out there. I also do obviously have some of my travel videos on there, so go check those out. And I love you guys so much. Please stay in, stay safe, and take care.